you guys maybe might have seen the articles that have been coming out concerning the former the former EFF, the former EFF leader Floyd Shivambu, and now former Secretary General of the Mkhonto Wesizwe, Floyd Shivambu, who has recently had a talk with the media, and he was kind of like speaking about where he is. It led a lot of people to speculating that he maybe is going to start his own political party, since it doesn't seem like he's going to go back to the EFF, and it doesn't look like he's going to stay in Umkhonto Wesizwe and stuff like that. And so I thought that was quite an interesting one, because while in the discussion, Floyd, there was a statement that I see people are actually, let me just put it forward. There was a statement where he said, there are people who are saying that he shouldn't go back to the EFF because EFF is a cult. That's how he put the statement. He said there are people who are saying, it wasn't that he was saying, he was saying there are people who are saying he shouldn't go to Thingy because it's a cult. And he backs it up, or you can back that up by what he would describe as a cult in previous statements, is that the views of the leader are supposed to be the views of the majority. And I found it quite interesting that on that stance, he also agrees. EFF has cult tendencies, cultish tendencies, in the sense that if you disagree with these people, there is something wrong with you. Now, I think that brings a very interesting conversation, because it allows us to now expand on that point that he made, to say these views, the views of the EFF, are of a cult, being that you must agree with the leader or something's wrong with you. It's the same with African spirituality. You don't agree with them, you are dumb. What? It's like these people have no comprehension of difference, that we are different, we value different things. You value what you value, I value what I value, I walk my way. But I thought there was a conversation in that whole thing because of this. Because if one is not careful of the ideas that he upholds, whether it be things that he believes or whatnot, you can fall into what Floyd there would term as a cult, in that you start to embrace other people's ideas as if they're your own. Now, I want to bring this to a church setting, because this platform tends to speak about things like that. And I'm going to get my reading from this particular thing from Genesis chapter number 2. And I want to show you something in Genesis chapter number 2 that kind of highlights why I want to use Genesis 2. If you go back here, it says, So the Lord caused the man to fall into a deep sleep, and while he slept, he took one of the man's ribs, and, he fashioned it into this woman. And then from the rib that the Lord had taken from the man, he made a woman and brought her to him. And the man said, "This is bone of my bones, flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called woman, for out of a man she was taken." Now, there's verse 24, and I'm going to come back to verse 24, and there's a reason why. You will notice here, in God's creation, man was created separate, and then there is this process where the woman is brought to him out of the purpose that he has. I'll create a helper for him. That's what the Lord said. He will create a helper for the man. And now, if you go now to verse 24 with that understanding, it says, "For this reason, the man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh." So you see, what I wanted to highlight here, you'll see, there is this one individual. Okay? There's this one individual we are made to be soul in idea and in belief, in pursuit, and that is your life partner. The verse puts it out like that. The moment we try to create this type of a scenario from outside this type of a relationship, we create problems or we bring problems. I don't think it's a mistake that Floyd would be told and agree that EFF has cult-like tendencies, is that your free thinking is not allowed within the space. You have to think like us or something wrong with you. And he agrees with that. There are people within churches who are in a cult-like environment, in a cult-like space, because any other view outside of what they hold, they would not allow you to hold. It's very important we establish this thing. When the two now are brought together, the Lord brought the woman to the man, and the two shall become one flesh. So this one flesh, as a matter of fact, when he goes on, look at where the cult comes in there. And then he says, and the man and the wife were both naked and were not ashamed. This relationship was so well built in God's eyes that there wasn't an area of shame in their. It was a faithful relationship, is that I could trust the other person fully. That's the shame there that he's talking about. That there was no shame. There was no secret. There was no place where it felt like there had to be a secret. There was total trust in this relationship. When it speaks about them being naked and not being ashamed, is that you could completely be vulnerable with the next person and think. Now look at what cults do. A cult, when you deviate or disagree, they take those areas of vulnerabilities and they use it, and then bam. The moment Floyd got demoted from his position, what was the first thing that they came out? I started seeing interviews of MK party people, women, and I was like, it's all the same thing. They want us to hold the same ideas that they do. Politics can be very toxic. So I am personally not much interested in it. Politics can be very much toxic because it's built off of us versus them type of a mentality. It can turn you into a very terrible individual. There is no vulnerable, because you see that vulnerable becomes a weapon that they can use. It's not a space I'm interested in. That's not a space I want to be in. Because it creates this type of a behavior, cult-like environment. So now let's look at where Floyd is. MK. Maybe he will be starting his own party. We don't know. But MK is almost similar. For me, MK, if I put my prediction out there, MK is literally being built for Zuma's son. Bet. Come to this video in a couple of years, you'll say, I told you. Zuma's son, that party is his legacy. That's his inheritance. In no time, because you saw there was a period where he was doing a lot of PR, he was doing a lot of interviews and stuff like that. There's going to come a time where this is handed over to him. The daughter right now is very loud and she says a lot of things that you're like, wait a minute, man. You know, she says a lot of things. And a lot of people in the MK party, I saw a video of someone having to correct people and rebuke people because they were chanting funny things and whatnot and stuff like. Why? It's an environment where you are like us or else. It's a very toxic environment. That's the reason why, personally, I'm not in. So now, outside of the politics now, let's strip off the politics. Let's talk me and you. We are to watch this when we go out there. Friendships, church, community groups, WhatsApp groups. We must be careful of adopting a cult-like mindset where we must all agree with this one individual or else type of a thing, where it's us versus them type of a thing. Must be very careful of things like that. That's the bedrock by which cults are built. It's not just in the politics of the EFF. It's not in the MK party only, and all those guys that think MK is for Zulu people. It's like, you're gonna find that out there. No matter where we go, we must watch out for tendencies of a cult. Places where we either hold to a certain view or we are disregarded or we are regarded as less than thing. Someone once mentioned the moment that Floyd came from Malawi, it made it easy for them to make this decision. It wasn't based off of anything. And I think sometimes people in politics tend to forget. People don't. There are people that literally stay reminding people of this kind of events. If you look at DA, you remember the very same things, right? The more people left or the more people started getting discarded, they were like, wait a minute, this person was brought in so that they can bring in this type of an audience. Or this person was brought into the party. DA had went through a phase like that. They were like, oh yeah, Muslim Maimane was in the front so that the black people could be more trusting. And then there was that, the colored lady, oh yeah, so that she can draw that type of Cape Town audience that's not interested in thingy, the colored community and stuff like that. And so people don't forget things like that. They don't forget, like, wait a minute, how did you treat this person? How did you treat this person? And so MK has that. It's one of the reasons I'm just not interested in. Like I said, I'm not interested in politics because of these very ideas, us versus them type of a mentality. But what I find very interesting is that in today's conversations, we can have that. We can go back and see. You see, the one person you're supposed to be agreeing with at that level is your wife. The one person you're supposed to be agreeing with at that's why it says the two shall be one flesh. Me, not one flesh with you. It's you and your wife, so that you don't be arguing too much. When you become one flesh, you agree in the same things. Oh, wonderful. The unity is beautiful. But then when you try to do that outside of your wife, a cult starts building up. Historic Reality Show with the Daily Christian Commentary videos. Other episodes done today, they'll be down in the pinned comments. Tell me your thoughts. I was just thinking out loud here after I heard him say that, and it reminded me of that verse.